Morning, and it's a stunner. Welcome to Pedals to Pistons. I'm like 14 miles and 600 meters of climbing into my ride. Had a chance to go out with someone else this morning, but I really wanted to make this video, so I've come out solo for a change. It wasn't fair on my new cycling buddy to carry a couple of GoPros around and just play around with footage, so I'm getting some time to myself. How are you finding the videos? Give me a like or a comment, maybe a subscribe if you're enjoying them. I'm trying to work on it more during the week just to sort of plan what I'm producing, and trying to work out a bit of a journey. Had a bit of a mare with last week's video. I wanted to film it cycling, but I actually did it on the motorbike and had a nightmare of editing. So I'm doing it today, and it's kind of about the biggest life lesson I've had since turning 40. The biggest life lesson I've had is don't delay the journey. Delaying the journey just puts off the ending. This ride here, I put it off for 9 years. Now, I've cycled 600 meters of climbing this morning, over 13 miles. I've got the best downhill in a minute, which I'll put at the end. I absolutely love this ride. But I had put it off. What was I waiting for? The best gear, new bike. In truthful, I was scared of pain, of what I thought the ride would consist of. Now, putting that ride off for 9 years, I could have been enjoying this view for 9 years. Now, I wouldn't want to enjoy it daily for 9 years, but I think you'll agree with the sunrise. There's been some birds of prey up, the occasional car. It's just absolutely stunning. Now, this ride kind of does reflect that lesson in life, because life's like cycling. You can feel like you're cycling through mud. It's windy. You can be going downhill, coasting. Or you can feel like you're actually making progress. And the truth is, you've just got to put yourself out there and do it. Now, when I look at items that I've been scared of before, if you put yourself out there, you're thinking, it's going to hurt. How am I going to be interpreted? I put off making GoPro videos for 18 months. 18 months I had the GoPro. Me and my son have talked about it a few times, but it just sat in the box. I was waiting to know how to edit, know what to put. But in truth, I didn't know what I was going to make videos about. And honestly, I'm still working that out. You get to learn along the way. Now, if I hadn't put myself out there, I wouldn't have started learning editing. I wouldn't be able to help my son with his editing. And also, I wouldn't have learned about filters. As you've seen from my motorcycle video the other day, I learned quite a big lesson on the filters being washed out. Now, I'm standing with the sun behind me, which is making my face real dark, but that's a lesson. So, by being scared of what the journey was going to bring, I actually missed out. Now, one area where you need to put yourself out there is when you're considering careers, etc. 2 years ago, I found myself sort of getting a bit disgruntled with my job. For 10 years, I've been traveling 500 miles a week. The job was getting monotonous and the company was getting a little bit toxic. So I decided to leave and started looking for a new job, which would be closer to home. Anyway, one came up around the November 2023. I applied for it. So I had the first interview, and then the second interview I actually cancelled. And the second interview I cancelled because something came up at work and I was really busy and I just couldn't put my head in what I needed to do because I was trying to deal with another dilemma. Then over New Year, I actually sent the interviewer, my now boss, a LinkedIn message to say, definitely interested in picking up the journey. Is the role still available? Could I have an interview? And she came back and said yes. So we had an interview set for, I think it was the 3rd of January, 2024. I'm in recruitment, so I should know how to prepare for an interview. On the day of the interview, I was just doing a bit of final prep, and I looked at her LinkedIn profile. On her LinkedIn profile, she had just shared a position for a directorship with the company. Now, it's not a full directorship, it's a client director, so it's a position looking after a client. And it was 5 miles from home. At the end of the interview, you get a chance. You get a chance to ask questions, right? Now, one of my questions was, I see you've advertised for a director position today. Would you consider me for that role? Her answer was, I'm interviewing you from your LinkedIn profile, and I need to see a copy of your CV. And then my second question was, do you have any reservations why you couldn't see me doing this role? And I was told not to close her. We're both in sales. So after the interview, I had my CV updated already. So I sent a thank you email with my CV attached, and I got offered the position. Now, if I hadn't asked that question, if I'd felt a bit awkward about asking that question, I would be in the position where I am today. Taking that job has changed my life, it's changed my family's life, it's given me 10 hours a week back and more. I no longer get calls when I'm on holiday, calls in the evening, or calls at the weekend. I am present in my family's life now. Now, that you cannot put a financial value on. I'm also £500 a month better off because I'm not driving 500 miles a week. The value of asking one question has made considerable positive change to my life. And then the other example is open water swimming. How I changed my friendship group. So when I was 40, COVID hit, pretty shit time, was drinking a lot, I just lost my mum, was drinking 14 to 15 bottles of red wine a week, and I was going through a real tough time. The doctor had told me to give up drinking, which I had done, and I was about 4 months into my sobriety journey and really struggling, if I'm honest. Real dark times. Now, I was out paddleboarding with a friend, and I saw a load of swimmers coming back in from Drake's Island. And later that night, I went on Instagram and looked at hashtag Devil's Point, which is where I was paddleboarding. Now, all the swimmers had posted a picture. So I messaged the swim group about joining them. They came back to me and said, we swim every Sunday at 8 o'clock. It took me 6 weeks to turn up at 8 o'clock on a Sunday. And even on that Sunday, I was sat in my car, dreading going in for a swim, dreading meeting new people. I literally, on that day, after we finished swimming, got out of my wetsuit and ran away. I was so scared to meet new people. However, now, if I look back 5 years later, 5 years after starting open water swimming, those people I met that day are now my best friends. They're some of the most supportive people I've ever met. So, the biggest lesson since turning 40, stop waiting for the perfect time and realise that growth happens in discomfort. We need to get out of our comfort zone. Stop fearing the unknown and just do. Because sometimes real change isn't very far away. And with that, I'm going to leave a little challenge. Is there something you've been putting off? Something you haven't wanted to start? Let's get out there and do it. Let's do something together. The editing, the learning the videos, there must be something. So if this video is hit home a little bit or is sort of rang true with you, give me a like, a comment and subscribe and let me know what you think. I'm now about to hit the fun bit. And I'm going to close the video with the fun bit, because the fun bit is what makes the climb all the worthwhile. Have an amazing weekend, and I look forward to making the next video soon. Thanks.
in the soul.